Morning everyone, welcome to Court Farm Chickens. Today we're going to be looking at chicken feed. Not the most interesting of subjects, but I get a lot of questions on what you're supposed to be feeding your birds and when and what age, and it can look quite daunting and intimidating if you don't know what we're looking at, but once you know it is fairly simple. So we'll just go through some of the main food sources and when and where you should be feeding your birds. These are farm gate products. Don't worry too much about the brand, because it doesn't really matter. There will be, so if you're getting into proper chicken fancying and growing some really unique birds and things, you might want to look at nutritional contents and things of the higher brands, but to be honest, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Just get whatever your local farm stockist has. These are ones we do, so we've got farm gate, these are hay gates, and that's hay gates as well. Yeah, these are the two main ones you're going to come across. A lot of pet shops do their own brand stuff. It's all the same stuff, just repackaged. You can't really go wrong. Don't fixate on the brand. So we will start at the youngest birds, and this is your chick crumb. Now what you want to be looking at for chickens is, we can focus, this information here. This is medicated chick crumb. Okay, so this is what you feed them from a day old up until the 6 weeks of age. Now this contains medicine, basically medicated chick crumb, that will protect them from coccidiosis, which is really important in their sort of beginning stages of life. Now you mustn't feed this to ducklings. This is the only bit that you can't mess up. So medicated chick crumb goes to chicks. Chicks can have unmedicated chick crumb, we'll get onto that, but then they won't be protected. But ducklings cannot have medicated chick crumb. The medicine in there can be toxic to certain duck breeds. Some ducks can eat this and get away with it, some die. So it's just not worth the risk. So chick crumb, medicated, this is what you're looking for. This is what you feed from day old to a week. To 6 weeks, and that's just like the fine powder food. From 6 weeks old we move on, and same looking bag. Oh, there we go, this one's got a hole in it so I can show you that. Chick crumb, there you go, so they can eat it easily. From 6 weeks old we move on to rearer pellets. This is sometimes called poultry rearer, it's sometimes called poultry grower, depending on the brand or terminology, but this is what it is. This is what you put them on next. Now this has got a lot higher protein and is in a pellet form, so it looks like layers pellets, but it's not. It's higher protein as the birds are growing quicker. This also contains the medicine, so don't feed this to your ducklings again, and don't feed this to laying birds, because the medicine can go through to the eggs and you contaminate the eggs, and you don't want to be eating that eggs. So you can feed this to your birds all the way up to point of lay, but as soon as they start laying, or I mean, we get them to 16 weeks on this, and then we move them on to layers regardless of whether they're laying or not, just to make sure that they are clear of the medicine in their system. So that brings me on to the layers pellet. That's your standard. This is what you will get from everywhere, and this is what you feed your bird for the rest of their days, and it's just layers pellet. It's basic chicken food. Now any bird can eat this. Sorry, any bird that is old enough. So feed this to your chicks. What I mean by any bird is any species. So layers pellets can be fed to chickens, ducks, turkeys, geese, anything like that, and they will survive just fine on it. But you don't have to. If you've got a mixed sort of colony, you've got ducks and chickens in together, there's no way you're going to be able to have one pot of duck food and one pot of chicken food. They're just going to eat everything. And it doesn't matter if they do. If you want to do that, that's fine. If the chicken eats some duck food, it's not going to hurt them at all, so you don't need to worry. But if you're just keeping chickens, stay with the layers pellet. It has a high calcium content, so it's really good for the eggshells in the chicken eggs. The only thing you need to watch is if you've got a cockerel, rooster. Sometimes the high level of calcium can cause like gout-like symptoms in them. It's not common, but it can happen. So if that happens, you may need to separate your cockerel and feed him something a bit different, get him off the calcium for a little bit. But like I say, it's generally not an issue. Now that moves us on to ducks. So This is your unmedicated chick crumb. Now you will notice there is a picture of a chick on it, because any chick, baby bird can eat this, any species. It's absolutely fine. It looks the same, it just hasn't got that medicine in it, so it's safe for your ducklings. Pets at home, their basic food is actually this one. So I wouldn't buy it because you were spending 3 times the price because it's pets at home. But it's safe basically for your ducklings. As with all poultry food, make sure it is kept away from your cattle, your ruminants. If you've got any sheep, horses, things like that, you don't want to be letting them eat your poultry food. It can really mess their guts up. Goats as well. Everyone knows goats are buggers. Right, that brings you onto your duck and goose pellet, suitable for duck, geese, ornamental poultry. Again, your chickens can eat this, but I wouldn't keep your chickens on this. It's got a lot of oil content, which is good for the birds. Chickens don't need that in their diet, so it can make a chicken quite fat and give them some joint problems over time. And there's no reason why you would feed duck and goose to chickens. It's more expensive, so it doesn't make sense to do it. But if they do eat it, it's not going to cause many issues, okay? So you don't need to worry. If your chicken's had a day on duck food, it's not going to keel over. You will be fine. That is basically it. Now you can also get some very high protein feeds for turkeys, but that's to do with going into the meat trade and fattening up your birds, so we don't need to worry about that here really. Supplementary foods, you've got your oyster shell. This is great for your laying hens and everything, build up their calcium again. Helps, they put it in their crop, it helps them grind up sort of the softer foods, and also it absorbs into their system and they use it for production of eggshell. Apart from that, you can basically feed them anything you would feed your child vegetable wise. That's the way I look at it. If your child's going to eat it, the chicken can eat it. So all your peas, sweet corn, runner beans, anything you're going to grow in your garden, tomatoes, it's all absolutely fine. Your chickens love it. I wouldn't give them anything like a chili or anything like that. But the only thing you need to bear in mind is if you're eating the eggs, anything the chicken eats will go through into the egg. So any strong tasting things like garlic is going to affect the taste of your egg. So yeah, just be aware of that. But chickens, I mean, they're scavengers. They're eating insects for a lot of the day anyway. So you don't need to fixate too much on it, is what I'm trying to say. If you've got these basic foods, you are fine. Anything else is a luxury, is a treat for your birds. I hope this has been helpful. Any questions, give me a bell, and I'll see you on the next one.